afternoon. It's 3:30 on a Friday. It is time for Ask a Bookkeeper with Steph Conley. Ask a Bookkeeper is brought to you by the financial support of Steph's bookkeeping service. Steph, take it away. I think you're going to have lots of fun with QuickBooks today. Is that right?
Yep, today is fun with QuickBooks. I'm going to do a 30-minute crash course in QuickBooks. So I recommend that everybody grab a drink and get ready to get started with this. So I'm going to gauge my information dump based upon Kent's face. So I'm going to look over at him, and if he looks like he's getting kind of pale from too much information, I'm going to dial it back a little bit. So let's get started here. So I'm logged into the sample company of QuickBooks. And so the first thing that you would do after you get your subscription all set up is you're going to want to activate your bank and credit card feeds. So to do so, you go to banking, and then it brings you to this dashboard here. To add a new bank account, you would click, well, this button here would be green that says add account. You'd click that and then search for your bank. And then you'd enter in your login and your password, and it connects to the bank, and it brings in all these transactions you see down here. So from here, you can categorize your transactions. You could also upload the receipts, which we had shown on a previous show. So you can match your receipts. So you have your paper trail without having to have everything in a shoebox like some people do. And so once that's all set and ready to go, then we could start coding. So to code a transaction, you would just click on it. This is mahogany mugs. So I'm assuming that this is probably an advertising type product. Click on the category screen, start typing, and then you just click advertising, click add. And then there you go. The transaction's done. If you have your expenses or sales information already in there, you'll see these matching features, which are nice because the information's already in there. The bank is recognizing it. So if this is all correct, you could click match. If it's not correct, you can click on it and click find other matches. And then it should pull up all available open expenses or client invoices that you could select from and match from there. So that's kind of the banking feature in a nutshell. And then let's see. So Alex out there is saying that American Express can now show statements. Stephanie geeked out over this last week. Yes, I was super excited. Called Alex and told him that this feature is now available within his QuickBooks. He wasn't as excited as I was, but I've been waiting for this since 2018 to come out. So they finally started launching this. I'm sure a lot of you have noticed that do have American Express. You've had to disconnect and reconnect your feed just because of part of this integration. So now at the end of the month, when you want to reconcile all of your transactions and go to accounting and then reconcile your, okay. So here on this screen, if this was your American Express, there would be another box in this general area that will show that I could download your American Express statement. So with this feature, this will reduce the need for HubDoc or reduce the need for giving your accountants or bookkeepers login information. And it also just creates a nicer package since everything is in one location and we don't have to log into 6 different portals. So that's kind of how it would go for the banking from start to finish. You code your transactions at the end of the month, you reconcile it out, you have your bank statement in front of you, put your ending balance in here, whatever the date says. Whatever the date says on your statement, and then you could select as many or as little transactions in here. And then you want this to be 0. If this is not 0, please do not use the reconcile discrepancy account, because then I will have to go back in later and figure it out. So please don't use that account. Please make sure this is 0. If it's not 0, let's figure it out what's missing. So I guess the next section that we could go to is sales. So when you have a new client and you're all excited and you want to enter them into your system, you go to sales and then customers. And I could just add so I'm obviously not in their system. So you just click new customer, put all my information in here, and then save it. If you're somebody like me that has monthly reoccurring invoices and it's the same dollar amount every month, then you can go to the gear icon and hit reoccurring transactions. And from here, we can add a new template, and that would generate every month for every client or every vendor that you have the bill that's the amount. So like rent is a good example of something that you pay out every month. It's typically the same dollar amount. So we could set it up in there so this way no bills are ever missed or forgotten. Huh?
Your internet bill or whatever.
Yeah. So anything that is consistently the same dollar value is usually a good thing to have in here. So you could do your client invoices, any vendor bills, and you could start and stop it at any point through this screen here. So that was the gear icon, reoccurring transactions. And you could do everything in there. If you do not have reoccurring same dollar amount and things are different every month for you, then you can go to your customer, find, so we'll just say we did some work for Amy. And so you click on her and new transaction, click invoice. And then a blank invoice should populate here. And you could fill in your product and services, quantities, rates, all that fun stuff. And then you could send it off and email it to her. In your actual live QuickBooks, there will be another set of boxes here where you could check off if you have the ability for people to pay. So like they could click for the bank transfer or credit card. So this way, then when they get the invoice from you, they could click the button, enter in their payment information, and pay you. So that's how you would do that. If you get a check from a customer, you just go new transaction, payment, and then enter in the information, enter in the payment method, which would be check or cash, put the check number, and hit the invoices that they paid. Typically, we deposit those into undeposited funds. So this way, then, when it comes through on the bank feed, we could use that matching feature I showed you a little bit ago and verify that those dollar amounts are all correct. Because sometimes I've seen quite frequently that, let's say, a client's receiving a payment and they click the invoice, but they don't necessarily look at the check. And let's say Amy's invoice is $239 that she owes us, but she sent $231. And so sometimes people forget to put that in there. And obviously when it comes through on the bank, we'll notice that there's a $8 discrepancy. So I guess those are kind of the customer things, how to add the customer, how to invoice a customer, how to receive a payment. So if you haven't already, probably take a shot break and breathe, because now we're going to move on to expenses and spending money, which isn't necessarily everybody's favorite.
Oh, I like spending money.
Well, you know, I mean, when it's other people's money, I like spending it. When it's my own money, kind of a frowny face.
That's right.
So to enter in expenses and vendor bills, you would go to expenses. And so we'll start by entering a vendor. So we're going to add a new vendor. So you go expenses, vendors, brings you to your vendor screen. Oh, we have a question. So I own a business and I do reoccurring charges via credit card. but I also have some clients who like to send me checks. I hate that. I don't use QuickBooks for my invoices. Why am I stupid for not doing that? I always think I do, but then I'm lazy and learn how. Like, I always think I should. Oh, okay. Well, I know for this person, well, for Alex in particular, he uses a third-party platform for his payment processing. So we could enter in all of those invoices in QuickBooks, and as those payments come through, we could match them out and close them out. You can use QuickBooks for your payment platform also if you wanted to switch, but I'm not sure what your fees are for the company that you have now. So, but yeah, it's always a good idea to have those invoices in your system, because this way then you could send them all out to client in a bulk batch, which is a nice feature. And then you could see when they open the invoice, the email. So you could see how many times they view the invoice before they pay it. You could see if they never viewed it. And things like that. So if you have anybody that ever pays outside of the terms of your contract, it's a nice way to track that. What did it say? Mainly for the check paying clients? Yeah, we could add that into your QuickBooks and track the check paying clients. That's not a problem. We would just need a client list and the amounts, and then we would just watch through there. So. All right, so back to the vendors. So if we want to add a vendor, click new vendor, put all their vendor information in. A thing that I really like is this section here for tracking 1099s. Because how many people at the end of the year have to go back through all of their checks, all of their Zelle pays, all of their Quick Pay, everything that they use to pay their vendors, and then add up those dollar amounts and decide and try and figure out how much you paid that vendor to create their 1099. If you check this box here, then it will alert you at the end of the year that you need to send this 1099 out. So this is a very nice thing that I use all the time when I'm adding a new vendor in for a client. So we add the vendor, and then it's pretty much the same way as you do the invoices. If you click on the vendor, you just add the bill, code it to wherever it needs to go. If it's a bill, if it's an expense, it's all pretty self-explanatory. It's kind of the same way. New transaction, bill or expense. Let's see here. So here is something that I always recommend that people pay attention to when they're entering an expense. The payment account. So there's some people that have checking accounts, credit cards, savings accounts. You need to make sure that you select the correct payment method when you're paying these out. Otherwise, it won't show up as a match, and it will also get very muddled, and then we'll have to go back through and fix all those ones that were paid out of the incorrect account. I've seen this happen with payroll before. Super messy. So always, this is very important before you save. This is probably your main thing that you need to pay attention to is the payment method. And then, let's see. Oh, how would I contact you?
You just put it.
Oh, okay.
But you can say it for the radio people.
Oh, okay. So you can reach me at email at steph@stephsbooks.com. Call me at 847-942-3004. You can fill out our contact form on our website at stephsbooks.com. Or you could ask me questions here on 21.6 The Net. So, okay, so that's kind of how you enter vendors, track your 1099s, enter expenses. So we're going to keep going. It's a lot of information, I feel, to unload in 30 minutes.
How often should somebody be reconciled? You know what I mean? As a small business, so you're a one-man band. How often should I be going into QuickBooks? Every day, twice a day, once a week, once a month?
I think.
So let's use the station as an example. So we've got, some checks coming in from, but it's not a ton, right?
I would clear out the your bank and credit card feeds at least once a week.
Okay.
And then reconcile everything out at the end of the month, so you could pull your reports for your profit and loss and your balance sheet and your statement of cash flows. If we have a budget in QuickBooks, then we could compare it and make sure you guys are on target and on track for, your growth or your projections, or if you're trying to cut down on expenses. It's all there. Because if you're waiting till the end of the year and you're just using your checking account as your gauge, it's very surprising at the end of the year for some people to see how much they've either gained or lost.
Right.
So I usually recommend that we do it once a month, have a little convo or go through the reports. If you're an LLC, I recommend that you meet with your CPA. Not necessarily meet with your CPA, but just have a conversation with them about your quarterly tax prep and planning, and making sure that you're doing those quarterly payments if you're an LLC. Because there's nothing worse than at the end of the year having to pay like $20,000 when you're a small business.
Right.
And you could have broken it up. Yeah.
Of course, our habit here at 21.6 The Net, we do it once a year. So
Yeah. So
we need to get better at it, I think.
Well, we're an S corp with no employees, so.
yeah.
Right.
But if you guys, at the station, you guys probably have a lot of subscriptions to various softwares that you've tested out and things like that. And like I've mentioned on previous shows, those are a lot of times like kind of set it and forget it. Those $15, $20 things that eat up and add up. So it's by you doing it every month, it will give you an alert like, oh, wait, I thought we're not using that. We didn't like that one. I thought we canceled that. Let me make sure that's off auto pay and I save that, $20, because it's a lot easier
So true.
to call that company that same month and get the credit or the refund versus calling them at the end of the year and saying, hey, I need $600 back. So,
Right.
So yeah.
Awesome.
So let's see here. So we got more questions. I guess people are drinking Mai Tais and margaritas now. So
That's it.
I guess everybody's taking at least one of my suggestions out of today's information. That's the main thing that everybody got, was to drink while you're learning QuickBooks.
Right. They took, all right, settle down and grab a drink. Literally. That's good.
So, all right, let's do payroll now. So you go to your payroll tab, employees. To do your payroll setup, it's going to be a screen and it's all prompt going through. What does it say? I can't see that.
Ben asks us, how much are the books?
Oh, like our package?
Yeah.
Oh, they range anywhere from $99 a month up to $3,000 or $4,000 a month. But we also offer services outside of just bookkeeping. We also offer job costing services for our construction clients. I'm a public notary, so we also assist some of our clients with putting in their material waivers to present to title company as well, and things for AIA billing. So
and there's we just flashed up on the screen too how to get in touch with you if they want to learn more about what Steph's bookkeeping does.
Yeah, on our website we have a pricing calculator, so we offer full transparency with regards to our pricing and our structuring. So you can go on stephsbooks.com and take a look and fill it out for your company. You just need to know your average revenue, how many employees you have, how many bank accounts, how many credit cards. It goes through just the prompts. It's just a few questions, and then it gives you an estimate at the end, letting you know roughly about where that price would come in. And then I reach out to you personally, and we do a discovery call to kind of go through any missing items that there would be to provide you a final quote.
And you're remote, right? So you can work in any of the states in the United?
Yes, any of the states in the United. Yeah, so we are remote. We have clients currently that are nationwide. So we service anyone from auto mechanics, e-commerce, professional services, construction companies, manufacturing companies. I hope nobody's listening that I'm forgetting. House flippers.
And
Yeah.
you'll help the small. You got a good firm understanding of the PPP loans and things, right? So you might be able to help out a small company some of that.
Yeah, we could help them pull their reports, structure any items that need to be added to their chart of accounts for the loan itself, to track it and to prepare to fill out the forgiveness application. And that got extended now. Instead of having to spend it in the 8 weeks, you could spend it in 24 weeks. And also, instead of a minimum of 75% for payroll, or up to 75, at least 75% for payroll, now they reduced that down to 60% for payroll and 40% then for utilities and rent and things like that. So there's been a couple of revisions in the last week and a half or so that have come out with the PPP.
Yep, cool.
So yeah, we could answer all those questions and get any reports prepared for your CPA to finalize any of those documents to present to the lenders.
Awesome.
Okay, so I think that answered all the questions. So now let's move on to payroll. So once you get to activate payroll, QuickBooks is now only doing full service payroll. There is no more option for self-service payroll. So they took that feature away for you to have the option to pay the payroll taxes and be responsible for filing your own 940 and 941. So from my perspective of things, super happy about that. Can't tell you how many people I've seen get in trouble with that and they didn't realize. So now it's full service payroll only. And what happened? Now it's having trouble. So it's full service payroll. So what you would do as an employer, there's apps and things that you could use for time tracking, such as T-Sheets, which I know integrates beautifully with QuickBooks. So you would have your employees all log in on the app. Within there, if you have multiple jobs and projects that they work on in a day and you want to track that, they could log in and out of those projects or departments within the company. So you have an accurate depiction of your hours and how they're being spent. And then it pulls into QuickBooks. And then when you're ready to, I guess it's having trouble. So when you're ready to run payroll, you would click run payroll, which would be a green button, like approximately here on the screen.
And of course, it is late on a Friday, right? So there could be a lot of people logging into QuickBooks.
So
and looking at this.
Yeah, I guess.
Demo.
Yeah. But so you would pull in the hours, you can click to run the payroll, and then it just processes. You could either do direct deposit or you could do paper checks.
So when you get an alert like this, we're having some trouble on our end. Does your stuff automatically save, or did we just lose everything we had going? Should you save this quite often, or does it save once you input your stuff?
Well, like if you enter an invoice or an expense, it will save it. If we were in the middle of payroll,
Screw.
Depending on what step we were on, we might have to re-enter it. But this is something, because this is the sample company, so it's not a live, real company. So there's limitations of what I can do within the sample company as it pertains to the payroll section. So that could probably just be the problem. But so when you're adding a new employee, you need to have their W-4 filled out like normal, and then you'll just kind of plug and play all that data into QuickBooks. And then you set up your, if they have the option for bonus pay, overtime, paid vacations, paid holidays, how you want it to occur or accumulate and everything like that. So it gives you some good, super easy features. Another nice benefit of using T-Sheets is if you're a company that bills hourly out to their clients. if you have 6 or 7 employees and you pull that in on T-sheets, when you go back to your sales section and invoices, there's going to be, so where is it? Maybe it's not on here because it's not a live thing, but there's going to be a little tab. Oh, here we go. So there'll be a little tab that says unbilled activity, this blue box here. And then all of those hours from all of that staff and all of their notes that they put in. So this is the area where, as the owner, you need to do a spell check. So, or a grammar check. So, so this employee is billing 5 hours of time for custom design work. So from here, I just click on, so what I did, just to redo that real quick so you guys could see it, I went to the unbilled activity, start invoice, and then all of the time and items will pop up here. If you're using something such as Expensify or putting in the receipts into QuickBooks itself, and there's billable expenses like gas or paper or whatever you need to bill to the client, there'll be another little column that populates here, and you could add your billable expenses. So it gives you reminders and tracks everything. If you use your QuickBooks properly, it will track everything for you and do a double check and be kind of your admin, I guess, in a way, to make sure everything gets filled out. If this all looks good, then you could hit save and send off to the client, and then you're done with that. But that was a nice feature that integrates with T-sheets to track the labor. So let's see. So we did, I guess we could touch base on projects also. We got 3 minutes. So this is for more so our construction clients that are tracking, doing job costing and tracking. You would put the project name in, link it to a customer, and you could link your estimates to here, create invoices, and then all of that labor and expenses will also be in here. So if you have a big project like for flipping a house or something, you can pull an individual P&L for that project itself. Nice. So you could tell if you made or lost. One thing that QuickBooks does not do, well, a lot of softwares don't do this, and it's something that people need to think about as a construction company, is your overhead. You need to kind of manually calculate in your percentage of overhead. That's something very big that a lot of companies forget to do. But that's, I guess we could probably dive into that in 2 weeks on another topic, since we're kind of running out of time. And that whole section needs its own thing as well. I guess one last thing I just going to touch base on is the tax section. If you are somebody that sells an item and you have sales tax that you need to pay out, it does populate in here as long as you set up your products and services correctly. So I guess that is as much stuff of QuickBooks that I could cover in 30 minutes. I hope it wasn't too much. If there's anything that you want to dive in deeper, just give me a call, 847-942-3004. Reach out via email, steph@stephsbooks.com. We do free consultations, and we do a free QuickBooks health check too. So I guess thanks everybody for tuning in, and enjoy your weekend.
Lay aside, Sam.